Hello, and welcome to Ghost Games. I decided to try the recently available Solasta II Demo, a game I've been interested in since its announcement at the Game Awards. CRPGs are the type of games I play the most, as you can easily tell from the number of videos I've made about Rogue Trader. I was immediately wondering, how will Solasta II fare in comparison to all the other recent games in the same genre? Will it be really janky, as those types of games naturally are? Will it be polished enough? Will the story be good? Of course, I had a lot of questions on my mind, and I'd say this demo addressed some of my concerns. It is a vertical slice, they clearly say so. It's a bit over 2 hours long, and it allows you to try various systems and mechanics the final game will implement, like combat, exploration, finding treasure, avoiding fights through dialogue choices, and so on. I guess some of them will be slightly changed and tuned before release. A notable absence is the character creator, since we're given a pre-made party to play with. But the first thing that hits whoever played the first game is the drastic change in graphics and game engine. The first Solasta was in Unity, and it showed, while Solasta 2 is in Unreal Engine 5. The world maps, character models, and animations are way better this time around. The engine switch must have required a lot of effort, and I don't think a lot of assets could have been reused from the previous game. We can't say a lot about the story, since the demo is not a section of the main game. We are given control of a pre-made party of 4 adventurers. They are 4 orphans who had been adopted together and now have formed an adventuring party. They travel to a village to meet an halfling woman they already know and are friends with. There, they start helping around with some problems this settlement has. They have earthquakes, a black dragon that asks for tribute and leaves the villagers alone if they pay their fee in pearls. Trying to solve these problems will lead the characters to meet some kobolds that, of course, venerate the dragon, some trapped fishermen to save, and a sickless man named Jabori. This person will lead us to a temple and a power conduit to preserve, and at the end of the demo, we will encounter the main villain of the game, the one introduced in the trailer and voiced by Amelia Tyler, Baldur's Gate 3 narrator. This party is made up of a paladin, a multi-class fighter cleric, a rogue, and a sorcerer. They're all level 3, and 2 out of 4 of their specializations are specific to Solasta's setting. Essentially, they are homebrew. For example, our Dwarven Paladin has sworn an oath of liberation, a new custom oath, and our Elven Sorcerer is a Mana Painter, a subclass from the first game of the series. We don't know how many classes will be available at the game's release. The first Solasta slowly made a lot of them available with subsequent DLCs, and Tactical Adventures has not yet disclosed if they intend to follow the same road beaten before. In the demo, we can see that the baseline races should be available to us. We have humans, elves, dwarves, halflings, half-orcs, and a new one called Sicklas. No tieflings or Azimars so far, much to someone's joy and someone else's regret. Sicklas seem to be a sort of rock people, folk very connected to the land and these mana flows we see, and that should be a main story pillar in the full game. One of them will be an integral part of the demo, and will join our party as a follower, a temporary ally we can control in combat, but who is not a full party member. Since party members have their own personalities and accordingly insert themselves in dialogues, the full game will probably give you some means to set the ones for the characters you create. In the first game, they were called personality flags, and they represented how the character reacted to the world, in conversation, and so on. I imagine they will give us something very similar for Solasta 2. Talking about rule sets, this game uses the 5th edition SRD, which essentially is the free version of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. It has a lot of similarities with Baldur's Gate 3, if you're wondering. I would say, from what I've seen, that Solasta 2 is very adherent to the basic rule set compared to BG3, and makes very few changes in the name of playability, quickly becoming a TRPG in its combat situations. Out of combat, we can control the full party or split the single characters, for example allowing the rogue to scout ahead. We can move with the click of the mouse or by using WASD. I had some problems orienting myself with the minimap. Maybe it's just me, but I really hope that in the final version of the game, I will be able to lock the minimap orientation and not have it rotate with me and completely mess up my sense of direction. This is sort of funny because I've been trained in this kind of stuff and that's how compasses work, but in games this behavior confounds me a little bit. I also wish I could switch Q&E directions to rotate the camera. The default ones weren't natural for me and I always rotated in the wrong way. We can sneak with visible noise areas around our characters, influenced by their stealth skill, light, and the armor they're wearing. I thought this was pretty neat and very clear too. You can also use this mechanic to ambush your enemies. The demo makes you try it, and it worked very well. In dialogue, you can intimidate, deceive, or persuade people with a check, essentially the classical implementation of D&D's so-called social skills. Some party members will prefer intimidation, diplomacy, or lying based on their skills and, I imagine, personalities. I got advantage in deceiving some kobolds by stealthy picking up a dragon scale and later showing it to them, telling them it was a boon from the dragon, making them believe we were on the same side. This leads me to imagine that, in the full game, we will have a few instances where exploring thoroughly or paying attention to details will modify our chances of success in some situations. Being someone who generally explores a lot, I'm looking forward to this. Combat, to me, felt like the most polished part of the demo, as by the rule set we have actions, bonus actions, and free actions. A character's actions can take a little while to get used to, because every class has its own, given their class or subclass. But once understood, they seem to work as intended and allow a wide range of tactical approaches. The grid is also very clear, and I haven't encountered any problems like unwanted movement or attacks due to misunderstanding the overlay. That's something that happened to me in BG3 or Rogue Trader through various misclicks or the game slightly delaying the preview of my next movement or action. Combat is obviously turn-based, and another thing I noticed is that the AI takes a little while to decide the enemy's or ally's turn, especially when there are quite a few actors in the turn. I hope this will be optimized in time for release. Now, I said combat terrain as a grid, but it's more of a hybrid. The game shows characters' movement boundaries in a grid-like system, but you can move freely using your movement speed in a very fluid way. There are no real squares. Line of sight and range are also incredibly important in this system, which includes the cover mechanics from D&D, with its full, three-quarter, and half-cover bonuses. Full cover denies line of sight, while three-quarter and half-cover gives you bonuses to armor class. There is an option to balance the dice rolls and not have a streak of bad rolls. But real role players roll with real RNG, like a friend of mine who managed to roll 3 natural ones in a row. That's part of the game. The final fight of the demo was very interesting to me. It asks us to man a nexus that's going to explode, and every turn we had to spend an action to stabilize it while we were getting attacked from nearly all sides, straining our action economy, as you can imagine. Meanwhile, the nexus was destroying terrain all around us, altering the combat area we had to navigate. It reminded me a little bit of BG3 Final Fight, and it can lead to interesting situations. The demo also shows us some of the gear and various loot we can find, from valuables to straight up sell to magic items to equip. There are also some ingredients to gather, so I imagine some kind of crafting system will be in place in the final version of the game. There is also a vendor showing us some faction reputation, so there will be factions, and I suppose our decisions will increase or decrease our reputation with them. I'm curious to see if you will be able to max them all, or if some of them will be in direct opposition. Anyway, that's all I can say about the Solasta II demo. I'm pretty excited to play the game in the future. I'll do my best to cover the first game on the channel before diving into this one. Let me know what you think about it, if you played the original Solasta, and what you expect from the next effort from Tactical Adventures. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it. Please like, comment and subscribe, it helps me reach more gamers out there. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.